Between 1956 and 1958, Gibson became the first black player to win the French Open, Wimbledon and the U.S. Nationals. But none of it came easy. When Althea Gibson won the Wimbledon Championships on July 6, 1957, and became the first black athlete to capture tennis' most illustrious title, she was roundly honored and celebrated. Queen Elizabeth II presented her with a winner's trophy. But Gibson's encounters with racism in and out of sports gave her special, if fleeting, satisfaction as she stood atop the tennis world. Gibson's family moved to New York City's Harlem neighborhood by 1931. Growing up, Gibson had been open-minded about race. She loved to play all kinds of sports. The American Tennis Association, which exposed Gibson to the game as an adolescent, was founded in part because the United States Lawn Tennis Association did not allow African Americans to join its clubs and enter its tournaments. When Gibson beat a white opponent in 1942 to win her first tournament, she was pleased. "I can't deny that made the victory all the sweeter to me," she wrote in her memoir. "It proved to my own satisfaction that I was not only as good as she was, I was better." The experience of being a high achiever forced to grapple with racial restrictions was a recurring challenge for Gibson. She moved to Wilmington, North Carolina in 1946 to further develop as a tennis player and complete her high school education. Even as she dominated on the courts, Gibson was excluded from the same social functions as her white peers. In 1956, when she attended a dance at the Denver Country Club, where she had come to compete in a tournament, some members objected. As multiple Grand Slam champion and Gibson's doubles partner, Gardner Malloy, recounted in his book, "As It Was." The tension subsided when Gibson stopped mingling with the other guests and instead took to the stage to sing. Winning Wimbledon did not end prejudice for Gibson though. Days after her win, while in the Chicago area, hotels in Oak Park and River Forest would not give her a room, and the Ambassador East Hotel would not rent out its famous pump room for a luncheon in her honor. Many sportswriters in the United States and England would not acknowledge that Gibson was the best player in women's tennis, even after she won the U.S. Nationals weeks later. When she retired from tennis in 1958, she was the top-ranked woman in tennis, having won more than 50 singles and doubles championships. But she struggled to earn income from her elite status in the sport. As Gibson wrote in her 1968 autobiography, "So much to live for. Being a champ is all well and good, but you can't eat a crown." Gibson returned to tennis in the late 1970s when she briefly coached Leslie Allen and Zina Garrison, two of the leading black women in the game. Gibson, winner of 5 Grand Slam singles titles, left a lasting impression on both. As Garrison writes in her 2001 memoir, Gibson imparted a particularly tough lesson. She said, "I had to be far better than everyone else, and even then I'd probably find myself in a situation where being the best wasn't good enough." Gibson died in 2003 at the age of 76. In August 2019, the U.S. Tennis Association honored her with a statue at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, the home of the U.S. Open.